On the presentation we made here today showing these two grazing systems, we wanted to compare what we encourage in most of our grazing schools with moving animals every few days to a new paddock of forage or new pasture, and trying to have 6 to 8 paddocks on their farm that they can move animals between. Many producers in Kentucky are still using a system where they have cattle on one pasture all summer long. So moving to having 6 or 8 paddock can have tremendous increases in their production of their forage and in their animals as well. Now today we've added the extra wrinkle of a newer system that's been talked about for the last few years of high density stocking, or some people call it mob grazing or tall grass grazing. So it would be a system where animals are actually moved every 12 hours or every 24 hours. Large groups of animals are put on a small area and they graze that down quickly, and then they're moved on to the next area. To do something like that is going to require that you have maybe 50, 60, 70 paddocks on your farm. They don't need to be permanent pastures, but they need to be temporary pastures. And that type of system, moving animals quickly, a lot of animals in one area, that has potential benefits.
As we look at any managed grazing system, it's trying to increase the efficiency of harvest of the forage that's out there, and then also the redistribution of the nutrients, in other words the urine and the manure, and trying to get those nutrients spread out more evenly back onto the ground so that the livestock are moving across that field, depositing those nutrients to help that forage rebound and grow back quicker. The other beneficial aspect of this type of management is a perceived improvement in organic matter into the soil, because as you have an increased density, the forage that is there that may not be grazed, that's walked on, is going to be trampled into the soil, and you have better soil contact, and that's going to speed up that process of building organic matter in that topsoil, which will, in years like this with a drought year, help conserve this valuable limited moisture. From an internal parasite perspective, like our internal worms that may burden cattle, the life cycle on those might be 17 to 21 days, where we're waiting 60 to 90 days to come back onto this field. We may be helping break that parasite cycle because the larva would be past the stage of being able to reinfect the cattle. Some of the other benefits that we hope to see out of this is improved weed control. As we increase the stocking density, we are also allowing those cattle to be less selective, and so they're going to graze more evenly and graze more of the potential weeds that are palatable off. And those that may not be palatable, the hope is that you actually stress that weed to the point that it will not be able to thrive very well and produce seeds, and the weed pressure will actually go down with time.
Now those are some of the benefits that are talked about with a high density system. We're trying to say are those things true? When we look at the typical soils and the typical climate here in central Kentucky, does a high density system make sense? Does it give those benefits, or does a traditional rotational system with the 6 or 8 paddocks moving every few days, does that make more sense?